Yeah, so it was like one simple meeting, but she really influenced my life, which is pretty amazing. It gave me the confidence to know that this is something that I can do.
Welcome to Working Women Mentor, a podcast for persevering women in business. If you're working on a business or in one, you'll meet women you want to learn from and share with. Building a business and the professional journey in itself can be daunting. It takes one tip, one idea, and a moment of support to change the direction on the road we are on. These are women with a mentor mindset. Here's your host, Rani Alfers.
Hey everyone, I'm Rani Alfers, and I'm so excited to be hosting Working Women Mentor. This is our first podcast, our first episode, and I truly want to say thank you for listening and welcome you to this journey that I hope is beginning today with this first episode. You see, the reason I wanted to put this idea out there of Working Women Mentor is because I believe that there are mentor moments in all of our lives that we can share and we can give back. And specifically with women that are working hard on their business, in their families, whatever it is that they're super passionate about and working on is something that you've either been sparked with or you've learned from, and it is something that can be shared. And over the year in 2020, I started a Facebook Live series. It was called Cracking the Female Business Code. And I, during COVID, reached out to women that I did know, and I said, hey, share your story on how you're pivoting your business. They were all female entrepreneurs. And what I found was just how generous they were, how much they wanted to share, what their struggle was, what they've learned, some tips, some tricks, and what they were really doing and really needing from our community of women. And that sparked something huge in me, and something that really reminds me of we are who we surround ourselves with. And we've all heard that saying before, but I want this podcast to be unique in that we do create that community of women around each other. And I have one ask. My ask is that you be generous as well. Find a mentor moment, find something in what someone says as a guest or an idea, or email it to me or call me with it, or however you want to get it over to me. But share an idea, but also share some ideas with someone else. Sometimes we listen to things, we read books, we hear other people, we absorb it, but it doesn't go anywhere. So I hope this podcast sparks you to share with other people around you. Often when I was traveling more last year or over the years, as many of us have, I would meet people along the way in my journey. It could be a conversation at a restaurant, at a bar, at a coffee shop, wherever it was. And there would be something in there that I would learn from. And it was always interesting to turn around and use that knowledge and share it with someone else who might have needed it, but didn't actually connect with that one person on my journey. But I was the conduit. And I hope that you are the conduit between our guest and you as a listener and the folks that you surround yourself with. Anyone that we come in contact with, whether it is a family member, a loved one, a significant other, a friend, a colleague, your children, anyone around us can truly lend information. And it's not always what we want to hear. It's not always the time we want to hear it. It could be really the ugly truth sometimes. But those are the people who are being generous to us, and we just sometimes don't recognize it. I really hope that each episode, that's what you're thinking when you press end and you move to the next podcast or you move on with your day is, what can I share with someone else? What was my takeaway today? How did I learn from this? And by the way, this is the first episode, so I had to give you some sort of expectation of what our journey is going to look like for the season, because we'll be here this season. And please reach out to me. My contact information is always going to be in the show notes, but it's Rani@ranialfers.com. And I'm always available. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me, Google, wherever it is. And I welcome your ideas on what you want to hear about, what you want to be mentored on, what people are asking you, what's going on in your professional world that you know that is something you need help with. Please reach out, and I am so excited about this season ahead. Thanks for listening. Let's get right into it. In this week's episode, it's all about starting a nonprofit in your pajamas. Hey everyone, this is episode 1, and I want you to meet Lori Files. She's the founder and CEO of Pajama Rama. Lori is a former caseworker. She's got a bachelor's in psychology. She's really learned positivity and empathy, and she encourages everyone around her. She founded this Pajama Rama nonprofit back in 2013 when her daughter had a scooter accident and was rushed to the hospital. She was looking for a way to give back to the hospital and the community, and found that pajamas were something that children needed, that she wanted to bring some peace and comfort. But hey, there's more to it than pajamas. There's how to start the nonprofit, how to succeed with it, how to fundraise. We're going to cover all this today with Lori File. Let's jump in now. So, hey, Lori, I'm so thankful that you're joining us today on Working Women Mentor. Lori, as I've mentioned already, is the founder and CEO of Pajama Rama. So welcome. How are you, Lori?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm very excited about this.
Oh, you're so welcome. We're excited to hear about your journey because your charity has been in place now for about 7 years, right? You founded in 2013.
Right.
And you're going strong and growing every year. And I know there's so many women out there who have thought about starting a nonprofit and, have found a cause, but not sure what to do next. So tell us a little bit about how you started Pajama Rama. I love the name, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
So fun.
But yeah, it's a fun name.
Let's talk about Lauren's story. So this idea really began from a tragedy.
Sure. Yeah. So in 2013, my daughter was in a scooter accident, and she was going down the hill, and her breastbone hit the curb. And so we knew automatically when she landed upside down, we're like, her helmet fell off. It was like, oh my God, call 911. It was very, very scary. And so, I know God puts people in your life at that right moment. And one of the moms that was outside while we were watching kids, she was like, Lori, we need to check to see if she's breathing. And I was like, what? I couldn't even imagine. And so she was like, yeah, we need to check to see if she's breathing. She wasn't. And so it took both of us to pry open her mouth and finger swipe her because she was suffocating on her tongue, basically. So as soon as we did that, she was like, oh, and gasped, and I was like, oh my God, it was so scary. And then we ended up at the children's hospital, and really by the grace of God, she came out with just some gnarly road rash and no, internal injuries. That's what we were really afraid of. And so I was thinking, what I really want to do something to give back because we were treated so great at the children's hospital. And so I looked on their website, and in big bold print was pajamas. Like that was a need or a wish for them. And so I was like, pajamas? I can do that. And so it was like, Oprah calls it her aha moment. I totally think it's a God thing, it was just like the light bulb went off, and I was like, I could just hold a pajama drive, And so the first year I just had a box outside of my house, and we raised 125 PJs, and that all went to the children's hospital that year. And we were so excited that this is 125 kids that are going to be positively impacted and provided comfort, And so then each year it's just grown, and we've received more, reached out to the community and got more community sponsors. And I think this year we'll have about 20 sponsors all over DFW. That's going to host our Pajama Rama donation boxes for our annual pajama drive. So it's pretty amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. And, for you to take the initiative from having a great experience in a hospital and then say, how can I help and how can I give back? What is when you were looking on that site and wanting to find some way to help the hospital and other children that were there, what does a pair of pajamas mean to someone in the hospital? Because it's something you wouldn't think about. I'll be honest. I would never have thought about that.
Right. Well, we have all kinds of tragedy. Like when Lauren was 3, she had H1N1, and that turned into a severe case of pneumonia. So she was hospitalized for about 10 days and had to have a blood transfusion and this video assisted thoracic surgery where they had to go and clean out her lungs. And, I knew then that pajamas, seeing her in a gown, she was like, it's like night and day, and there's actually been studies proven too, whenever you get out of that gown, the hospital gown, and you put on pajamas or regular clothes, it totally changes your affect and you don't feel as sick, kind of, if you will.
Yeah, almost a placebo effect
right.
of it. Yes.
Right. And so, and for kiddos in the hospitals, it just provides a sense of comfort and a sense of home. And, because some of the kids that are in the hospitals, they have no idea how long they're going to be there if it's, a pretty severe, whatever they're going through, And then sometimes, we have received emails from parents that have received PJs from the hospitals, and they're like, thank you so much for the pajamas. We just went in for like a routine procedure and, we didn't have anything and so they're really, really super appreciative. So, just that too, for the parents to have that, it's kind of a comfort for them as well, because, PJs are all about comfort.
Yes, they are. I could live in mine if someone would let me.
Yeah, I know. I know, me too.
Well, Lori, so one of the most difficult things about starting a nonprofit, but even before you got there, your idea was just about generosity, and then it led to becoming a nonprofit and something much larger. But one of the most difficult things is fundraising. So how has your pitch evolved over the years? And tell us a little bit about how you started at fundraising. And I know you said you did the drive with friends and family, but now you have so many donors in the community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, normally we focus really on the main event, and that is our pajama drive. And this focus, we're basically focused on it throughout the whole entire year about how can we generate more sponsors? How can we get Pajama-Rama out into the community so people know our name and know that what our mission is. And our mission is to provide comfort and hope to children and teens in need with pajamas. It's pretty basic, but it's something that not a lot of people think about, because I think comfort in a way is kind of taken for granted, because we serve many children that also are very low income children. And some of these kids have never even owned a pair of pajamas. So it's just, I don't know. I really love it.
It sounds like a small slice of comfort that you can provide. So when you're pitching someone to say, and I say pitching, when you're asking for fundraising or you're asking to get involved in your charity, is that something that's an ongoing activity for you to look for new donors, look for new partners for your charity?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And what do you find is your biggest obstacle when you're reaching out to someone?
I think for me, it's always the fear of rejection. Like, oh, well, we can't do this at the moment, or we focused on another charity. That we've had that in the past, and that's okay, because, all charities matter, all nonprofits matter. But that's kind of the issue that I've run into, is that other companies or sponsors have other charities in mind, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that fear of rejection seems to get with us anything that we're doing, doesn't it?
Right.
If we're asking for something, doing something, I think the fear of rejection, especially in women, I feel like is even stronger. So I can definitely see that happening. What is nice about it, though, is that I imagine you're able to at least then get on their radar. And so if something changes with who they're contributing to, you're still getting some word of mouth and some notoriety for your charity out there by just asking. I wouldn't have known about it without reading about you and learning about you. And I just thought it was such a unique niche in giving that it deserved to be shared.
Right. Thanks. You're exactly right. Even if they hear about us and they're like, no, we can't do it at this time. And I always follow up and, at least, like maybe 3 or 4 months later, like, hey, how are you doing? Are you interested in this again? Just because maybe I know some companies do choose a different charity quarterly. And so I always try to follow up just to make sure, just to see maybe if there's a little open window there.
So, Laura, you're the founder and you're the CEO. Who else is helping you? How are you doing all of this and growing this charity? I know it relies on volunteers, but what does the dynamic of your team look like?
Yeah, we are all volunteer based, and I'm so grateful and appreciative for everybody that helps out. It's just really family and friends that we come together and we try to figure out the logistics. Some people help with like delivering the Pajama-Rama boxes, picking them up, or, when we collect them, we have to label them and then, separate them by size. There's so much that goes into everything, and every volunteer matters, because we definitely couldn't move forward if we didn't have help. And so I'm so happy to have a really good team of volunteers, family, friends, and other folks out in the community. It's pretty awesome. It takes a village, right?
It does take a village. I love that saying because I believe it is true. It's we can't do it on our own, and finding people who have that generous nature and are willing to donate their time, which is, so valuable. Our time is so valuable, and money and marketing ideas and just the activity of getting involved is really incredible that you have such a strong group of people around you, Lori. I have to know, I mean, you thought about this while being in the hospital with Lauren, and after leaving the hospital with her. What does Lauren think about the Pajama-Rama charity?
She loves it because she was like, Mom, this is so generous. She's kind of quiet, she doesn't really say much. Of course, she's a teenager too. So, moms aren't cool right now, but which is so
I'm
true.
Still cool right now. I have a 9-year-old, Lori, so I'm still cool. Don't tell him that I won't be cool in a couple of years. Okay.
Right. Well, it's going to happen. I hate to say it.
Okay. Thank you. Sometimes I don't want to hear something, but I need to.
I know. Lori. But no, she, it's her story as well. And so she's very involved. Like, both my kids are very involved when it comes to, they help out with pretty much every aspect of it. If it's helping me drop off boxes, or definitely when we go and deliver to like children's advocacy centers or the hospitals, I always have both kids involved. And she's like, Mom, this is such a generous charity. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I totally sound cool. I was like, thanks.
It's interesting because I wonder what impact that will leave on your children. I mean, as a mom, as a hardworking mother, I know that you want them to be understanding of other people's needs and other areas of the community where you can contribute. And I think the lesson that you're teaching them is really incredible, Laurie. I know a lot of parents struggle to introduce the charitable note, charitable giving in a family and as they're growing up. And how do you get your kids to see things through other people's eyes? And it seems that you're accomplishing that with your endeavor.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and we also have volunteers that are teens and kids. So it's a good way for, kids out in the community, because I know that there are programs in the middle school and high school that they receive volunteer hours. And so we totally involve kids, because I think it's so important for, kids to give back to kids. Yeah, I think that children involvement is really, really high.
And that's a great tip. It's connecting the kid to another kid. And if you're it's hard for the kid to see through the eyes of maybe someone elderly, or maybe another area of the country, or something they can't identify with. So I think that's a great tip. It's a good way to start in introducing your children to others, and how to be generous, and what that looks like, and how it would feel if you were in their shoes.
Right. And we've also had Pajama-Rama boxes in a school district. So a couple of years ago, we had, I think it was like 13 boxes that were in Carroll ISD. And so it was like every school that Carroll ISD was in Carroll ISD. And, they saw that box, they knew that was going to, children in need, basically, and so it was a way for them to give back. for it being in the school. And I really love that. Also, we had, in Fort Worth, Trimble Tech High School. That high school is actually right across the street from Cook Children's, and they decided that they wanted to raise money for Pajama Rama. And I was like, this is such a great idea. And so I met with the kids and student council, and I was like, how did you guys manage this? Because they raised almost $1,200. And I said, this is amazing, And they're like, well, we just went out in the halls and was like, give some pajamas, and they specifically wanted their PJs to go to Cook Children's, because I didn't realize this until I delivered the PJs there, that many of the children or many of the high school kids, they actually walk across the street to eat lunch at Cook Children's in their cafeteria. And so,
how interesting. So they requested specifically that it go somewhere to where they knew.
Right. And so they had that connection with that hospital, because they actually see the kids that are out and about, and those are the kids that are healthy that can go in the atrium. Right. And so they felt that connection and they wanted to give back. And I was like, you guys are amazing. I just was blown away by their generosity and their kindness to want to give back.
Lori, I'm curious to hear about what it took and the steps and the process about starting the actual 501c3, because that's not easy to do. And it's a lot of work. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was really difficult for me because, I founded this in 2013. And then in 2018, I was like, I really, really want to do this, but I was so afraid of the paperwork alone is so discouraging, everything that you have to file for the IRS. And I was like, oh no, where do I start? And so I just did some searches online, and I found this group called the Foundation Group. And they are a turnkey operation, like an organization that helps people in this situation, that, you feel that you have a calling and there's a need in the community, and they help you do that. And so if anyone ever asks, like, how do I get started? I totally recommend the Foundation Group, and you can find them online. And they are awesome. I mean, they take you step by step. And even after, it's been 2 years, if I have any question whatsoever, all I have to do is just log into my portal, ask them, and then they get back with it, within 24 hours. And it's really great customer service, and it's a really great program. And I, from start to finish, it was about a 9-month process, maybe about 8 months. So if you are going to start a nonprofit, you have to know that it's going to take time. It's not overnight.
Yeah, it seems as if, joining an organization like that, if they're able to walk you through the steps, then it eliminates the fear of the unknown.
Exactly. And that took a huge burden. I mean, a huge burden off me. And then I was like, you know what? We can do this. We have help. This can totally happen, and so it was really great.
Do they help you with the compliance component? I imagine there's a lot of compliance that you have to maintain with receipts and just activities that you have during the year.
Yeah, they do. They help with if you would like to file with them for your tax. That's the big thing, is the IRS. You don't ever want to screw up with that, because that will hurt your charity, and you don't want to get rejected by the IRS or do anything wrong in their eyes, basically, because of course you want your charity to continue to run. And so, yeah, Foundation Group, if you want to, you can go through them to, file with the IRS your yearly taxes, which for me, that is huge, because I don't know what I'm doing with that. You know what I mean? I'm not an accountant. And so if I can have somebody help me with that, it's awesome.
Well, it really leverages your time with people who know what they know, and you know what you know.
Right. Exactly. I think.
Well, what do you think the future is of Pajama Rama? Let's fast forward 5 and 10 years from now.
5 and 10 years. I just would really like to continue to see its growth, and, to spread out, not only just in our local community, but I would be really awesome to see it go nationwide. In 2019, we delivered, I think it was about 105 kindergartners in New York. We delivered pajamas to them. their kindergartner coordinator reached out to us and was like, hey, we have very low income children here. Do you think that you can provide pajamas? And I said, absolutely. Awesome. What a great opportunity to give back to these kiddos. So my best friend and I, we flew out and we delivered 105 PJs and read It's Pajama Time book, which is the best pajama book. I love. It's my very favorite. And it was such a great experience because these kids, I've never seen anything like this. When they received their pajamas, they hugged them as if it was like a teddy bear. And you could tell just the appreciation and the gratefulness and the joy in their faces, because and some children didn't know how to react, honestly, because they didn't know how to receive a gift. And to me, that was a little bit heartbreaking. But it was a really wonderful experience, and just the joy on their faces were priceless.
Well, and your impact is spreading. I mean, very far, all the way to New York from Texas.
And we have some this year. We'll have a box out near San Antonio. So we're trying to, slowly but surely spread out. And, really it's all about bringing comfort to, children and teens in need. So the more pajamas that we raise, that equals to kids that are positively impacted by. So
it's truly a charity that anyone can connect with, because whether or not you have children or not, you have been a child at some point. You remember a pair of PJs. You remember that comforting blanket that you may have had and snuggled with. As adults, we think of a robe or, maybe a blanket that we have, or our living rooms, pillows, and just all the things that reminisce comfort.
Right.
And I think that everyone can conjure that in their mind. And it is inspiring to be able to give that same comfort to someone else. So you have something that's very easy to identify with, Lori. And I think that is what will help you spread and grow throughout time.
Yeah, I think it will. I think just showing us that you care about someone else, if it's with pajamas or, whatever, a simple act of kindness, I think, that, when you receive that, it's really something special to know that somebody else cares about you, no matter what you're going through.
I'm curious on what advice you would give someone who was starting a nonprofit today.
I would say definitely find a good team. Because you cannot do it all by yourself. You definitely need a good team, and you need a mentor. That's huge. Mentorship is huge.
Mentorship is everything. And it's what we really talk about, because it can come in all different shapes and forms and conversations and small moments of time.
Right.
And speaking of mentorship, is you have felt mentored once in your life, and with this particular endeavor, what was that mentor moment like for you?
Right. So I just reached out. There's a lady in my community, and her name's Rhonda Brown, and she started the Orange Out Foundation, and they help children with cancer and families that have children fighting cancer. And I just reached out to her and sent her a message on Facebook. I was like, hey, I would really love to meet up with you and talk to you. And this is right before I started the nonprofit, because I needed advice. I didn't know what I was doing, and I needed to hear it from somebody that's been through it. And so we just met one day and we had a great conversation. And I was like, thank you so much. This means so much to me that you're just taking the time out just to meet with me and answer some questions, basically, so it was like one simple meeting, but she really influenced my life, which is pretty amazing. It gave me the confidence to know that this is something that I can do. And also too, throughout the years, if I just have a question, I just send her a message and she responds so quickly. And, we've only had that one meeting, and it's pretty amazing how one conversation can really change your life. And so I hope to be able to do that for people in the future as well.
And you are, just by sharing your story today, you really are. And, the ability for you to reach out, you have some courage, because that is very difficult sometimes for women to do. You have, again, that fear of rejection sets in, why would why would she respond to me? Oh, she's never going to see my message. There's all these reasons we can put in our head as why not to do it, but you did it. So, yay.
Yeah, but that took some years. Let's just be clear. It was not overnight. But yes, that's the thing, fear is your only limit, and so if you can get past that, then you can do great things.
You really can. Well, Lori, I know that supporting your charity is the number one thing we can do for you. So we're going to include the links to your foundation in the show notes.
Oh, thanks so much.
Absolutely. And your advice today has been invaluable. I know that there are so many people you have an idea, you're not sure where to go with it, how to start, and you did it. And so thank you for sharing your story.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to Working Women Mentor. Help us spread the word to more women like you by leaving a review on Apple Podcast and subscribing. You see, your review helps Apple know that women like you want to listen. It only takes a moment to make an impact. Find us online at ranialfers.com/podcast. Check back weekly for new episodes. Cheers, and see you next time.